How's it going? I remember 3 years ago seeing the gameplay trailer for Blight Survival, and some more material has come out since then, and I have to say, I'm rather impatiently waiting for that one, which is unusual. I don't normally anticipate games for a long time and keep waiting for them, not because I don't care, but because I've got too much on my plate. There's so many distractions. But this one is really quite interesting. If you haven't seen it, let's take a look together. And if you have, maybe you'll still want to stick around. So this is an action horror game with a 14th century setting developed by HEMA Studio, which personally I'm not familiar with. By the way, this is not sponsored. I did try to reach out to them. I sent an email and a message on Instagram to try to weasel my way into some kind of closed beta maybe, but I didn't get a reply. So either the messages ended up buried in their inbox, understandable, or they just don't want to let me, also understandable. Now you can sign up as a playtester, but in order to show gameplay footage in a video, I would have to first reach out to them and ask for permission anyway, so yeah, that's not happening currently. So as a refresher, this is the original trailer from 3 years ago. Starts gnarly already. You know, the knight bashing a zombie on the ground with a heater shield. And yeah, I could imagine that ending up in such a way if it's a steel heater shield. So then he goes for a bit of a stroll through a dilapidated environment. So fire burning, as ruined buildings, apocalyptic, or just medieval. You know, it's in certain places at certain times things were certainly rough. That's also kind of a funny thing here. Set in a brutal medieval world. Set in a medieval world? I mean, real life historical Middle Ages were pretty brutal. Like, yeah, it wasn't all awful. Life wasn't miserable all the time, but it was certainly rough overall. The animations already look quite good then. That in particular, I'm pretty sure you've seen that. That is pretty neat. There's something about doing the animation this way, you know, where it stabs into the head and then it doesn't go all the way and then you just shoves the blade the rest of the way up to the guard. Somehow that looks visually more interesting than if the blade went smoothly in one go. I mean, as it does there, which still looks pretty cool, but it's nice to mix it up visually. I should have made a video about that already back then. Not sure why I didn't, I don't quite remember. Actually, I did make a video about that back then. I legit forgot. Linked in the description, by the way, in case you haven't seen it, or have forgotten it like I have. I want to refresh your memory. A knight doing stealth. How unchivalrous. Even crawling in the mud like a peasant. Could be useful though. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, even if you're of noble birth. Yeah, so you fight human enemies as well. There's a nice stealth takedown. And now he's picked up a longbow, like a filthy commoner. So there's ranged combat as well. So in these 5 minutes they show a number of different gameplay elements, which is nice. You want that kind of variety. And also I appreciate actually having a proper gameplay trailer rather than just a bunch of cutscenes and whatever. That tells us absolutely nothing about the game. And then there's a more recent video from a month ago, which also starts with a shield bash, but different. I wonder what this is. I wonder whether this is a cutscene or whether there's some kind of grappling mechanic. It looks more like a cutscene, but I don't know for sure. Take down a zombie. Well, there we go. Undercut into decapitation. And that's a nice looking greatsword too. Let's go back here. Yeah. It's properly shaped. And clearly they're trying to make it historically accurate to some degree. Obviously not with the zombies, and it is a fantasy world, but a historical or historically inspired fantasy world. And the gear looks really quite good. Also very raw animations. Like, they look very natural, and there's like a certain rage to them, I feel like. I don't know if it's intentional, but I mean, not necessarily, because there is such a thing as brutal efficiency in combat. It can look angry, even if it's somewhat detached. As detached as you can be in combat, but against zombies, it's always a different story, I feel like. There's definitely some visual spice, as I like to say, about these animations. You know, the way the sword, chops into the zombie and is then pulled out with a slice. It's quite nice.
We're designing Blight to be a brutal, visceral game.
Yeah, already from what I've seen, it seems like they've succeeded. The graphics look quite impressive. Obviously, gameplay matters more, but presentation is still important. There's a work in progress for a finisher animation. The animation in and of itself, I wouldn't mind if the other guy was a knight in full plate, stabbing straight through the breastplate nonchalantly, deeply too, and then chopping his head off. You know what? The zombies are more believable than that. The breastplate stab like that, that's not happening at all. Definitely not with a sword, and would be difficult either way. And then, there's some protection from the helmet. It extends a little bit past the chin. But even if you hit precisely in between the plate and just hit the neck, there's still mail. So it's not really happening. So that's where the realism ends, I guess. And yes, it's a bit of an ironic statement when there are zombies and all, but still. There's clearly an emphasis on it. Huh. Interesting. I have not seen that before. Usually it's a pre-made animation when a character squeezes through tight spaces. This seems to be an automatic reaction, if I see that right. That's a neat way to avoid clipping. I like it. As said, this video is not sponsored, but here's just a very quick self-promotion. In order to keep doing this, I need more patrons. So if you can, please consider supporting me. Link down below. Thank you, folks. Really appreciate it. And some footage of modeling an Oakshot Type 14 sword. That's pretty interesting to see. Goes to show how much detail that is. How many polygons you have to manipulate. That looks quite good. I like the handle wrap, the risers. The aging is quite nice. So the weapons should definitely look good. I'm definitely looking forward to it. What do you folks think? I mean, clearly, judging by the number of wish lists, there's a lot of excitement for this game. It looks very promising. Unless there's some internal problem, so to speak, like terrible controls or bugs or performance issues or who knows what else, this seems quite promising. For sure, I'm definitely looking forward to trying it out. Anyway, as said, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching and take care.